dirty foreigner, go back to your country. A woman can do his job. He didn't actually hit you. So beautiful. I wish I was black. Like a toddler. 아니 근데 have they been nice this whole time? They have not. It's manipulative, it's dangerous, and it's terrifying. The racism at the school is, we treat everyone equally and fairly. He went around telling everyone that it was my fault and that I wasn't doing my job properly. Shut your mouth. You're not a family, no matter how many pizza parties you have. He did not have a key. And he's walking up the stairs. I book it. Actually a very angry woman who would sometimes push the kids around, literally push and shove the kids around. She was like, no. I was like, pardon? Get that out. Hello, my name's Deandra. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this story time about why I quit my third and final job in South Korea. I decided a few months ago that I was just going to put the past in the past and never talk about this again. And I realized that I was bottling that up because I didn't want my trauma to be someone else's tea, someone else's entertainment. Then I realized that I was getting a few comments and DMs privately about how, from people who didn't know about certain laws in South Korea, because employers try very hard to make sure that you are as ill-informed as possible so that they can exploit you and manipulate you. And from some people who thought, oh, but I thought South Korea was just like in the dramas, which is a very odd thing to say, because have you seen Korean dramas? Have you not seen how vile and disgusting some of those characters are? They're people in real life. And when you see actors, musicians, K-pop idols getting exposed for being bullies back in school, you realize, yeah, no wonder they played that role a little too well. And so that is the case with some of these employers in South Korea as well. I was having nightmares up until quite recently of my former manager coming to my apartment, which is something that happened, and I would wake up and think that he's outside, even though why would he be? But then I thought that same thing when I was in South Korea. Why would he be here? So I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about doing this video. I wrote notes and charts about how I'm going to organize it. And I think today I'm just going to scrap all of those and I'm just going to talk and see what comes out. But I guess we'll start maybe person by person. And so I won't talk about the tiny little things or maybe one character that annoyed me, but I didn't mind working with him. I'm going to talk about the main maybe 3 or 4 characters, being my manager, the bus driver, the boss, the head teacher, and maybe my co-teacher, either my co-teacher or the deputy, or the second manager. I haven't decided yet, but a lot of things went down and I just want to get the things that are still stuck in my brain that I just can't let go of out into the world. So enjoy this tea, I guess. Please don't forget that there is a human being here that went through all of that and struggled a lot. Do bear in mind that I am not telling you everything. Some things I have locked away, complunk, in my brain, and some things I don't need to get out anymore. To the people who want to use this time to spread anti-Asian rhetoric, this is what happens in Asian countries. Why are you in South Korea? Why do you go to places that don't like black people? Nowhere likes black people, for one. 2, it's not just an Asian thing. And 3, get out. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you at all, actually. Okay. Now, to the black people who are wondering the same thing, I want you to turn around and go talk to the people who told me, don't let these experiences destroy my image of Korea. Don't let these experiences taint how I view Asian countries in South Korea and the education industry. I want you guys to have a chat and then let me know what you've come up with, because I blame both of y'all. The people who told me go back, don't let this ruin your experience, and the people who told me never go back, this is a sign, because both of y'all were in my ear. But let's start, I suppose, with the bus driver. Let's start with him. So he was the PE teacher and the bus driver, and he was in charge of driving us to and from school because he lived in the same building. He lived downstairs, actually. We got on quite well, actually. And one day I found out, because of course he did, he was attracted to one of my friends who was one of my co-teachers, and he had been trying for a long time to ask her out. And when he found out that she was becoming close with me, obviously he wanted to get close to her via me. So he invited us to go camping. I told him that she's not interested, because she told me that she's not interested, and as his friend and as her friend, I wanted to make sure that this camping trip was platonic and we're all going to have a good time and it's going to be great. He got drunk and started to hit on her, and she was very uncomfortable. She didn't like it. We later find out that she was dating someone at the time, but she also didn't find him attractive. He had like this thing with his ear because he used to do pro wrestling, I think, and he tried to make her touch it, and she was like, she came up to me later and she was like, why, ew. And it's not because it's disgusting to look at per se, but that's a really weird thing to make someone do. She's like, hey, look at this giant scar that I have. Here, touch it. It's like, it's a really intimate place. And he was like holding her hand and being like, touch it. So just like lots of little things that made her not attracted to him. And I told him this. And so while we're camping, he's getting more and more bold because he's getting more and more drunk. I'm getting more and more bold because I'm getting more and more drunk. And I am basically telling him to back off. I'm getting angry, and near the end I actually have an asthma attack. I do suffer with asthma, and I had an asthma attack just before bed, and I do remember before I did use my inhaler and pass out that she came up to me and she was like, are you okay? I'm gonna go get your inhaler. And he came up to me, bent down in my ear and said, why are you doing this here? Why are you doing this now? And he walked off. She brought my inhaler. I took my inhaler. I sat by the campfire for a little bit and I was just shaking, and then I went to bed. After that, he started blanking me at work. Totally fine. I didn't really care, because I was defending her, and I will defend a woman, especially one who has come to me in confidence that she's not comfortable. You're not my friend if you're someone that's going to make a woman uncomfortable. That's disgusting. But the problem was that he was affecting my work. And so there was a sports day that we had. And during that sports day, we were on the slide, the water slide. A child ran up the slide and went flying down the slide. And obviously, I ran up the slide to go and try and get the child. And not necessarily that it's dangerous, it is still like a giant toy for children, so it's not necessarily dangerous, but we did want the children to wait. And so this child didn't wait, ran up the slide, and after the child went down the slide, and I went down the slide as well because I slipped, obviously, it's a water slide, he went around telling everyone that it was my fault and that I wasn't doing my job properly and how I'm such a terrible teacher and how everything's my fault. And I'm looking at him like, shut your mouth. And it was just little things like these where he would just explode, and all of this because I told you to back off. Nah, that's nasty. I don't like that. So that's the bus driver. A lot of other things did happen, but those are the two main events that made me very uncomfortable to work with him. Let's talk about the Korean teacher, actually. So there were 4 black people at the school, 4 black teachers. 3 black women, being one of them, and 1 black man. And so I'm thinking there's not going to be any racism at that school. They like black people. They like black people. There's so many of us here. Wrong, incorrect. That is not correct. And so what happened was that we were having a chill conversation, and it seems that you can't let black women have anything, because we were just talking about the BS that is life and how what we face, not only in South Korea, we were from different countries, and so we were comparing our experiences being black foreigners, black women in South Korea for the first time, for the second time, for the third time, comparing it to our home countries. And we were just talking about privilege. Totally fine, you know, we're having a conversation. It's outside of school hours, but we are at school. We're doing our lesson planning in our, you know, just in an office space. And so this Korean co-teacher comes up and she's like, what are you guys talking about? Oh, we were just talking about, you know, how the world is unfair and unfortunately some people are very privileged, and you know, it just sucks. It sucks to be, it sucks for things to not work in your favor because you don't have enough privilege. You know, we're living in a man's world, we're living in a white man's world, and you know, it's just hard. And this was a Korean woman, and so we know, because she was also complaining about the sexism that she experiences in the school. They treated her horribly, especially the manager. He treated her horribly and spoke ill of her all the time. So we thought, you know, as women, she would be able to empathize. But because there were 2 white teachers at the school, she told the boss that the black teachers don't like the white ones. Based on that comment, we live in a man's world. We live in a white man's world, and it's unfair. And so she went and told the boss that we were having a racial conflict. And although I wouldn't say that these were the best and most informed white people that I've ever met in my life, because they did have a lot of learning and unlearning to do, and they admitted that they were from the countryside in England, where they were, you know, generational wealth. They understood that. Well, they talked about having racist parents and grandparents and family members. Which, stop doing that, by the way. Don't tell me. Go talk to them. But anyway, I knew, and the other black women knew as well, that there was no racial conflict. They were fully aware of just how much white privilege that they held. They knew that, and for the white man, he got away with it. He was doing it on purpose because he knew that the senior management preferred him because he was a white man, specifically because he was a white man. And I might get onto that later, but there was some unfairness, there was patriarchy, there was racism, there was sexism, misogynoir. There was a lot going on at that school. But the event that takes place was that the next day we have a meeting with the boss, the head teacher, the manager, everyone's involved. And she looks at the 3 black women teachers and the 1 black man. She looks at us and goes, you know what, you guys are just so beautiful. You're just so beautiful. I wish I was black. I wish I had your skin. You have such beautiful skin. You have such beautiful skin. And I'm not laughing because we don't. Because we were glowing. The melanin was popping at all times. But what? So we're thinking, do you think something happened? Do you think that, like, bilingual Korean teacher said something to management? And so we find out during that meeting that we had a meeting with the manager where he was like, there's no racism at the school. There's, you know, we treat everyone equally and fairly, and, you know, we're not allowed to talk about politics. My skin color is not a political statement. I just wanted to say, black teachers had one-on-ones with this manager where he basically told us, don't have these conversations at school. This is a workplace. We don't want you talking about XYZ. Later, I hear him talking about North Korea, and no, it's gone to my manager. The main event. There's too much to talk about. There really, really is. I was basically expected to become another manager. I'm not rising in the ranks above him. I was supposed to work alongside him. He didn't want that because a woman can do his job. A man could do his job, which is why he wanted the white male teacher with no teaching experience, who didn't even really want to be there. Funny thing, we all left after I quit. I quit 10 months in. I was so close, but I was making jokes about someone pushing me down the stairs, so I knew it was time to pack up my stuff. But everyone did leave except for the one black man. So I went to my manager. I would say the main two that really made me go, I can't stay here anymore. The first event was when he messed up at work. He blamed me for someone else's mistake, and I basically wouldn't stand for it. He ran out screaming, yelling, pointing. He's like, "Ani, like he was so mad at me, like a child, like a toddler. "Ani kunde," running down the halls. It was so funny. And so I assumed that senior management talked to him and told him to go apologize to me. We were all assuming the next day. No, we're on the stairs because the black teachers live together. That's another point as well. The two white teachers live in a more expensive and more beautiful apartment, and all the black teachers lived in dirty shack. Anyway, they said that they decided on the apartments at different times, but we all know that that's not true, because the black man who had been there for a while before us, he was also in that shack, but they went out. They didn't choose apartments in that same building. They chose different apartments for those two teachers, and then for the other three teachers, me and the other black women, they decided to put us in the same building. Anyway, very interesting. He showed up while we're on the stairs talking about what happened that day, trying to get me to not quit, because my last school in South Korea was a shite show, and we are all fully aware of that. We know what happened. I haven't even spoken to anyone about my first school. I actually liked that school, but the ending was insane. It was insane. Maybe I'll just tag it on in like a very small story time. If you want another story time, let me know, but it would be more for me than anyone else. Getting this trauma out, getting my watch time up, okay? Continue to watch the video. So, we're just talking about all the rubbish that happened that day and what he said and how he messed up. And all I hear is, "Oh, hey, see?" And he's walking up the stairs. I book it. I leg it up the stairs, because nowhere you hear. And you want to know what? He found out where we lived. He did not have a key. So he waited for someone to leave the building, and then he went inside after they left. But he didn't know which floor I lived on, and so he was just walking up the stairs, guessing. And then he heard us talking and walked to the top floor of the building, and that's when he saw us. Tell me that's not scary. It's like 10, 11 at this point, because it was after work. It was like an hour and a half or so after work. Why? What are you doing here? What are you doing at your at a co-worker's home of residence, looking for where they live? What if we weren't on the stairs? Were you really going to go around and knock trying to find me? That's weird. And what were you going to do? What did he do? He gave me an iced coffee cup. I don't like iced coffee. Everyone at school knows that. I don't like iced coffee. And he also got it at the supermarket. And it was on sale, I saw the next day. So after work, he went to the supermarket, probably. I'm speculating, because I saw it in the supermarket when I went food shopping. But I presume that he went to the supermarket after he got handed it to him by senior management, and then went to the building that maybe he saw on my records, or maybe he had picked up the black male teacher at some point from. But what was he gonna do? And so what ended up happening is that I'm at the end of the corridor, and he's just walking, and he's like knocking on my door, And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm laughing because I'm scared. And this is the nightmare that I had been having for quite a while. Just knocking on my door and opening the door and seeing him there. Or like coming home from work and just imagining him standing in front of my apartment. I had that nightmare for quite a while. I haven't had it for a while, but it was scary. It was really, really scary. And he's like, I just want to say I'm sorry. And then on the way out, when he's going down the stairs, because the other teachers are waiting for him to leave so they can come talk to me, he's like, oh, do you guys come and like have complaint parties about me quite often? And they're like, ha ha ha. So even after that, you're still trying to like make it about yourself. He had a massive ego. It was disgusting. The reason that I quit, however, was when he messed up so badly. And he got so angry that he banged the table, stood up a little bit, and kind of like cocked his neck at me, right? I thought this guy was going to put his hands on me. And even if he hadn't, that alone is manipulative, it's dangerous, and it's terrifying, and nobody should feel that way at work. And you want to know what senior management said? The other manager, he didn't actually hit you, so it's okay, forgive him. He went to hit you, but he didn't. You have a wife at home. You shouldn't need anyone at home for you to know that that's disgusting behavior and a horrible thing to say. And when the head teacher also said that I should put it past me and not let it affect the rest of my time here, that I should just push through and finish the contract. Heck, if I stay, then when they finish building the new school, the one next door, they'll send me over there as a manager. He'll stay here at this branch, and we won't have to interact with each other. I tried everything to defend the way that he acted, and they were not taking my concerns seriously. And that was my final straw. If you can't trust your employers to take care of you, especially when you're alone in a foreign country, I was disgusted and I was upset. And I gave in my letter of resignation the following day. So quiet. So smiley. That was another thing. There was a smile competition. So you can see how happy and jolly I am. And this is how I really should be at all times of my life. Because I like to smile. I like being happy, right? This is me. I'm chill. I'm fun. But if you stress me out to the point where I want someone to push me down the stairs, I'm not going to smile at you. He would get upset, like the little things that I'm not going to be talking about, only the big things today. But little things like saying that I'm not saying hello, good morning, happy enough for him. How I should be saying manager C and not just C. So they decided on a smiling competition. And whoever says good morning, the loudest and the brightest, would win money. And what everyone wanted to do was vote for me. And I would accept the prize, being like, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm just so glad that I won. I can't believe it, actually. Because that was how I was near the end of my contract, where I was just so done. But let's tie things up. The last person that I'm going to talk about, the last two people, I guess, I'll lump them in together. The head teacher and the deputy. Family. They're family. Of course they are. Even though I said in my interview I didn't want to work at another family-owned business, he didn't say that they were a family-owned business because he didn't want anyone to know. And then when I get there, oh yeah, that's my mum. Damn it. But just before I left, the head teacher, she came to look at the apartment, make sure that everything was okay. I can't remember what she was talking about, but I recorded everything. I recorded almost everything. You can see right here. I just remember being so hurt by what she was saying. And the deputy, when I wanted to say goodbye, that's another thing. When I wanted to say goodbye, the deputy was like, no, like I studied child psychology. If you leave, after saying goodbye, you're going to hurt them. And I'm like, if I don't say anything, they're going to feel like I abandoned them. And she's like, no, don't say anything, just leave. So I guess the last thing I'll talk about is the kerfuffle at the very end. And this one I did post about in the Facebook group. I can't remember what it's called, maybe like some sort of expats in South Korea Facebook group, and I asked for help because just before my last day they basically told me, oh, you don't need to come in anymore, it's okay. And I'm asking in the Facebook group, like, what does this mean? Like, should I take this opportunity? Is it like they want to be helpful? They're like, oh yeah, you can just go pack your stuff, it's totally fine, don't worry about it. Should I do that? Are they genuinely being nice? And I was like, no, use your head. Have they been nice this whole time? They have not. Use your head. And so I'm so glad that I got advice. I do recommend anyone who's going to South Korea to join this Facebook group, ask questions, read through previous posts and forums where people are helping each other, because there are some foreigners who have been wildly screwed over. And this is part of why I'm sharing my story today, for people to know that these things happen and they're disgusting and you do need to be wary. It seems, to me at least, the only people that I know that are really thriving, happy, and I know obviously they're going to have like certain difficulties, but a large part of why they're able to live comfortably to a higher degree than most foreigners on E2 visas is because they're not on E2 visas. They're on F visas. They're married to Koreans. They're married to people who love them and will take care of them, and they know that for a fact. Your employers, they don't love you. You're not a family, no matter how many pizza parties you have. They don't care about you. No matter how many times they say, oh, we're going to raise your salary, we're going to take you out, we're going to buy everyone drinks. They can buy all the drinks in the world. They can buy you every single drink in the world. It doesn't matter. They don't care about you. They're just trying to buy your affection, buy you through temporary pleasures like food and alcohol. It's not good enough. So this happens to a lot of people, and I didn't realize that until I started sharing my story and getting comments on my original why I quit my job in South Korea video. What was I talking about? So I got some advice from expats in that forum, in that group. They're probably going to have a situation whereby you don't show up and they can make it seem like you quit, because there's nothing in writing saying that you don't have to come back. They're just suggesting it. But in writing is your contract. In writing is your letter of resignation. If you go to immigration or something like that, they could try and use that against you, saying she didn't even show up. She said that this was going to be her last day and she didn't even show up. I wouldn't put it past them, honestly, if that was really the plan. And when I did show up on that day, guess who was there? The teacher that was going to be replacing me. That's why they didn't want me to show up. That is why they didn't want me there. The teacher that was going to be replacing me, another black woman, funnily enough, she was there. And they were like, oh, why are you here? We told you not to come. And I could just see it. And immediately after I said good morning and we all went upstairs, they called a meeting, managers only meeting. They were like, get downstairs now, we need to talk. And it was just so funny because they were all staring at me going up in the lift like, why is she here? And we all saw it. Yeah, lots of other things happened with my co-teacher, who I made numerous videos, not numerous, I made maybe like 2 videos and a couple stories, Instagram stories, about how good she was to me and how much I appreciated her and how much things were going to be fine. But she does not handle anger well at all. She was actually a very angry woman who would sometimes like push the kids around, like literally push and shove the kids around. Apparently that's a Korean thing where they kind of like just yank you. But the foreign teachers, if you lay one finger on that child's head, dirty foreigner, go back to your country. Like, it's insane. And I was very shocked at her behavior, because on my very last day, when I said, hey, can you say goodbye to my students, she was like, no, I was like, pardon? I thought you wanted me to say goodbye to my students. I thought you wanted us to have a good relationship. And she was like, no, you're making my job harder. You're making my life worse. Stop it. Just go. Just get out. And I was really, really shocked by her behavior, despite this video being however long it is. This isn't even half of the story. This is probably the main 5 or 6 events. And this was after I decided that I was definitely quitting. So much led up to that. And it just feels good to get that out. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you for the support, the really nice comments that have been left on the last video, my job in Japan video as well. And it's just very clear that I have horrendous luck. But when people bring up like, oh, well, why are you working in South Korea? Why are you working in Japan? Why are you working in Asia? You have all these horrible jobs. I had horrible jobs back in England. I quit a job on the 2nd day of training. I quit a job after 2 weeks because of my racist boss. The thing is with England is that I can quit and I can find another one. In Asia, when you're an immigrant at least, you can't quit and find another job so easily. And thankfully the situation in Japan is much better, because although my last job was horrendous, see video here, and my boss was horrendous, visa wise I could quit and find another job, and I have, and so far so good. Hopefully my luck is starting to turn. Hopefully I don't need to go into my villainess era. Hopefully I can find peace and tranquility and a community and love, success, joy. And I'm really hoping that it's my turn. So thank you so much for watching this video. Take care. Bye.